Southeastern Symphonic Choir, directed by Dr. Stacy Wieger, will now perform Hymn to the Gold and Blue. Thank you, choir and Dr. Wieger. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to a celebration of Southeastern's Founders Day. Just think, 106 short years ago, our university was just getting started. They say time flies when you're having fun. Today, we are going to hear about some of the fun that occurred on our campus. I'm Vicki Hudson, a member of our Founders Day committee. At this time, I want you to meet the other members of our esteemed group. So committee members, if you would please stand as I call your name and remain standing until everyone's introduced, and then we will applaud them all at one time, and then we will applaud them. They've worked hard, so y'all need to applaud, all right? So we need some lights, Will, please. Jeremy Blackwood, is he here? No, he didn't come. Okay. Diana Bowen. Stephanie Davison, Scott Hensley, Stacy Hunkapiller, Stephanie Makey, Charles Matthews, Courtney McGill, Ross Walkup, and Stacy Wieger. That's our group. Thank you. You can see that our stage looks a little bit different from usual today. Theater at Southeastern, in conjunction with our Department of Music, is currently performing Les Miserables. But in the spirit of taking care of family, they generously agreed to share. We appreciate their cooperation, and because of that, I'm going to do a commercial message for them. You can see their production at 7:30 tonight or tomorrow night, right here in historic Montgomery Auditorium. This year we decided that in addition to Dr. Norris sharing about our history and President Burridge sharing about making history, we would add a bit of personal Southeastern history. So throughout the program, individuals will share tidbits of time when they were here, having some of that fun I mentioned, and participating in creating the history of Southeastern. Get ready. Our blast from the past begins now.
Good afternoon. My name is Diana Bowen, and I work here at Southeastern in the Academic Affairs and Graduate Studies office. In 1913, just 4 years after Southeastern's founding, Southeastern hosted a track and field meet as well as an academic competition. This academic competition turned into what we now know as the curriculum contest at Southeastern. This historic competition has gone on since 1913, but however was suspended in 1942 due to World War II. But luckily for us, continued on. My father in the 1970s, 1973, 74, 75, and 76, all 4 years of high school, participated in the curriculum contest. He placed in 4 of the 5 tests he took, including Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Electronics, and Calculus. To this day, he still has those medals hanging on his wall. I was proud to represent Durant High School in 1999 and in 2001, taking tests in Algebra 2, Computer Programming, and Spanish 2. One of those tests was housed right in this room. I was lucky enough to place in Algebra 2 and Computer Programming, and those memories still hold true today. This year, on March 26th, we will house the 102nd Curriculum Contest, and 70 to 75 schools from across our state will be participating in that competition. Hopefully, in 4 to 5 years, my daughter will also participate in that competition. Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Davison, and I'm the Director of Alumni Relations here at Southeastern. Growing up on Southeastern's campus began when I crossed the Red River at the age of 3 months old in a blue Chevy coupe with my parents pulling a U-Haul of everything we owned. My dad had accepted a one-year appointment to teach history at Southeastern. Little did I know we would still be here 46 years later. Where both of my parents retired from full careers at the university, where I attended as a student, received 2 degrees, and now have the wonderful opportunity to work here as the Director of Alumni. Southeastern has truly been a part of my daily life since I was born. Our first year here passed quickly, and my mother worked in the business office as the cashier, and my dad was filling students' minds with knowledge. Once that year was up, the administration called my dad in and said they wanted to offer him a permanent teaching position if he would like to stay. And of course he said yes. Good choice, Southeastern. A couple of years passed, and it was time for my daddy to head to Southern Illinois to work on his doctorate. We were gone from 1972 to 74. And as luck would have it, in a double way, when it got time to return, not only did Southeastern offer my dad his teaching position back, but my mother was asked to go to work in the president's office as an assistant to the president, a position she held for 30 years and 3 presidents. My parents were fortunate to rent a home right here on campus on 4th Street from a wonderful family named the Armstrongs. Greg, who is a 1980 graduate of Southeastern and the 2011 recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award, and his sister Gail, also a 1984 graduate of Southeastern, let me play and visit with them because they lived across the street from us. Their father, Frank, owned a grocery store and laundromat, which happens to be the exact spot where my office is located today, the Welcome Center. I was always asking Mr. Frank if Greggy could come out and play with me. Mr. Frank pulled my daddy aside one day and told him that he had rented from them long enough and it was time for them to purchase their own home, and he helped make that happen. By this time, it was time for me to go to school, and I had made friends with my childhood best friend, Leanne, who was the daughter of the 14th president of Southeastern, Dr. Leon Hibbs. I spent many a day and night in the president's home, swimming in the swimming pool, traveling to the National Finals Rodeo, and enjoying many activities campus-wide. For many years, in the memories in their home, we made lots of memories, but we also I caused, a few anxious and exciting times and moments, like one time when I decided when I was spending the night to convince Leanne to pull the fire alarm in the president's home. It went off. President Hibbs shot down the stairs in his boxer shorts and to the outside, only to find that there was no fire. However, I was sure a fire was going to be lit under our behinds when I had to fess up and tell I was the culprit. But there were many more fond memories of attending lots of football and basketball games, homecomings, parades, candle lightings, cookouts on the front lawn, and also participating as a Durant Lion on the stage of Montgomery in the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival, show choir, all-state choir, and a contestant in the Junior Miss Southeastern pageant. I got to do quite a lot here on this campus. Every weekend was filled with friends of my parents who were faculty and staff at the university, coming either to our home or we would go to theirs to play cards, fellowship, and good food. They didn't have a lot of money, but the time and friendships made were priceless. I always loved watching the cheerleaders, and when I graduated from high school in 1987, I'm dating myself, aren't I? I can remember that the 15th president of Southeastern, Dr. Larry Williams, was sitting in the living room of my parents' home, and he absolutely begged me to be a cheerleader at Southeastern. I had done it for so many years that I was just burned out, and so I turned him down. Probably not the best decision I ever made because there was probably scholarships involved there. But I did promise him I would always be a cheerleader for Southeastern. I have been a cheerleader and still am today for my alma mater. I truly bleed blue and gold. Truer words were never spoken for me. Southeastern is where my story began and continues today. So you see, some would call it luck, some would call it fate, but as I see it, it's just where I was meant to be. We have a very rich history here, and today it's a true honor for me to introduce our speaker. During his 34 years of service to the university, he inspired many students who walked through the door through his love of history and his love of Southeastern. I could tell you about the numerous books that he authored and co-authored, and I could tell you why he's considered a world-renowned scholar about the end of the Spanish Empire in America. Or I could tell you about his service to Durant as mayor and city councilman. But the most important thing would be that he is a professor emeritus and recipient of the 2007 Distinguished Former Faculty Award at Southeastern. And I think his most important work was his writing of the history of Southeastern Oklahoma State University. On a personal note, his most important role is being my daddy, and one who has loved and inspired me all my life. Please welcome Dr. L. David Norris.
That's obviously the best thing I ever did. By far. By far. Mr. President, others, audience, I noticed that you didn't stand for the hymn to Southeastern. We did. I'd like to tell you, I don't know who was right and who was wrong. Okay? It just occurred to me, I don't know if you stand for a hymn for a university or not. So after this, we'll find out, what the proper protocol is for a hymn, as a matter of fact. And I'm not even sure a lot of places have a hymn, but we do. And we have a lot of things other places don't have. We have a creed and a flag, and it goes on and on and on. Okay? We have lots of traditions here, and we've talked about some of those. I saw a lot of your faces before this started, and it reminded me why I wanted always to be a professor. And I can just look out there at all the students, particularly the ones that are very close here that are in the choir, and you could just see the same thing you see when you walk into a classroom. And that is, well, first of all, in this particular crowd, you can see that they're going, my God, it's 3:15 on Friday. I'm trapped in this darn auditorium, okay? I'm trapped there with this old man, who's probably, been sick for a couple of months and hadn't been out of his house to talk to anybody, and that's true, okay? Except to go to Mass twice, I haven't been out in 2 months. This is the first time. So I haven't talked to anybody, and you're captured. And you're probably telling yourself, well, he probably hadn't talked to anybody in a year. Hell, that's true too, okay? So you're here, and I've got you, but I can see the pain, and the worry and concern. So I'll do my best to get you out of here within a couple of hours. No problem whatsoever. The first year, we talked about the fight to get Southeastern here, the tremendous effort put up by the citizens of this town, particularly in a fight with Ada and Ardmore to achieve Southeastern here. And of course, we won that fight. Ardmore really messed up. Ada almost messed up as well. But we put on this tremendous fight. And if you've never heard about that, then, and I'm not saying read my book because it's worth reading the writing, but you should read it just for the history of what the people did to get this institution here. But anyway, we won that. And you might think, well, wait a minute. What's the deal? East Central is at Ada. No, that's not what happened. East Central was a booby prize, okay? It was an afterthought, okay? That might sound like I don't care a lot about East Central, and I don't, okay? I don't. It hardly ever passes my mind except when it has to. But in this particular case, nobody will actually ever understand what happened after the fight was over, but apparently there was some behind-the-scenes stuff we'll never really know. And they took pity and gave East Central to Ada. And I've always said, if you can't go to a university, If you can't go to Southeastern, then by all means go to East Central, okay? It's a good school if you can't go here. You know, it's just that simple. Poor Ardmore. Ardmore really messed up. It wanted a prison, and it didn't get it. Big Mac went to McAllister. It ended up with a Confederate home, and that was good until people started dying off. But it messed up really bad in the fight. So I keep telling presidents, and this is the first opportunity I've had to tell this president, I'm sure he already knows, but I assure you that that Ardmore has never given up on getting their own university and seeing if they can't, somehow get this place to close, okay? Now, that's really, I'm being kind of serious. I mean, if they aren't doing that, then they're not doing what the citizens of Ardmore should do. But they've never given up, and they work hard at it, and we have to be vigilant about Southeastern and promoting it, and we have to watch those people in Ardmore. They're smart, okay? If you know, what's the name of that place over there? The University Center of Southern Oklahoma, okay? You drop out the word center, and what do you got? The University of Southern Oklahoma. You got it, Mr. President? I'm just telling you, that actually happened. Dr. Leon Hibbs, the first day he was in office, right through the door came a delegation from Ardmore, and they told him, they said, look, you can do one of two things. You can just forget about being college president, or you can go with us, we're moving this thing to Ardmore. And he knew right then he had to do something to build this institution and build it in a hurry. And the presidents since then have done. But I say this jokingly, but actually it's a real thing, Every community is in competition, and we have a wonderful university, and we have to always fight for it. We have to continue always to fight as hard as we can for it. The second thing we talked about the next year was about who saved this institution. And that honor belongs to the same person mainly that was responsible mainly for helping get it. And that's a man whose name is William A. Durant. Not Dixon Durant, the founder, but William A. Durant, his cousin. And to this day, I'm going to say, and to this new president, President Burge, I'm going to say again, I really and truly believe that there should be a statue to William A. Durant on this campus as the patron saint of Durant. And I'd like to see it out there about where the fountain is someday. So I would like to continue to make that case for this man. And if you don't know about that story, then again, then look at the history of Southeastern. Today, and then we finish talking about the greatness of this institution it achieved under Henry Garland Bennett in the 20s. And if you don't know who he is still important to this very day besides to our history. He's the man who left here and made OSU. He's the man that even to this very day, T. Boone Pickens can give millions of dollars, but he has to conform to the Henry Garland Bennett, plan of OSU's campus. He cannot violate that plan to this very day. Henry Garland Bennett was the most important educational figure in this country when he died on a trip for President Truman in 1952. And he got there by making this into a fantastic university and the #1 normal school initially that there was. And that finished up our story of the 20s. We got established. We then had greatness under Bennett. And then the 30s came along. And you probably all know that in the 30s, what happened? 1929. That's one of the dates worth remembering. The problem with history is we made too many students memorize too many facts that don't make any difference about anything. But there's some that do make a difference, and the Great Depression is one of them. And it hit, and it had a tremendous impact on institutions. Funny, in times of economic crisis, a lot of times kids will go to school, people will, because they can't get jobs. But in our particular case, it turned downward. Anyway, we put the Depression with one other thing. Into the governor's office came Alfalfa Bill Murray. Okay, and I don't know if you've ever had any Oklahoma history, most of you haven't, but this is one of the most colorful characters and powerful that it was ever in the governor's office. It just depends on what you read about him, what you think about him. But I'll just tell you this, he declared martial law 30 plus times in the state of Oklahoma. 30 plus times. He called out the National Guard 30 plus times to do things, everything from close down the Red River Bridge, which was a pretty important event, to, for example, he had a friend that owned the very famous 101 Ranch, and so the man didn't want to pay his alimony, so to stop the county officials from collecting it, he declared martial law around his house. Okay? Just couldn't get to it. The mail couldn't get there, and the officials couldn't get there. He got mad at the OU, the athletic department, so he called out the National Guard, declared martial law, and shut down an OU football game. Okay? And this went on and on and on. The oil wells, the companies wasn't shut down production, so he said fine. He declared martial law, and he literally closed down the oil wells. So they'd cut production and prices would go up. The oil company said, well, if you continue this, we'll just pull our companies out of Oklahoma and take our wells, our rigs and things with us. And he said, fine, go ahead and do that, but you can't take the oil with you. And they couldn't. So they finally just agreed to production, as a matter of fact. And so anyway, this man was in the governor's office with real power. And one of the things he disliked was higher education. He didn't like higher education. He thought it made high-tone bums out of everybody. And he particularly didn't like extracurricular activities and things. So his idea was to shut down as many places as he could. And he tried. He really and truly tried to do that. And one of the places that he focused on, for sure, was Southeastern. Okay? He really put some pressure on here and a lot of other institutions to who would run the schools, the presidents and the faculty and those kinds of people. And it made a big difference. We turned over presidents, we turned over a lot of faculty, our enrollment went down. In 5 years, we were in real trouble at the end of Alfalfa Bill Murray's administration. But through the doors came a new governor with a new attitude, and his name was Marlin, Governor Ernest Marlin, E.W. Marlin. And he brought with him a change at Southeastern, the person that then turned around this place and once again saved it and put it back on the road to prosperity. And this, people, was a woman. Her name was Kate Galt Zenice, and she was the first female president of a four-year college, a public four-year college in the United States of America. And she was a beautiful woman. If you see her, the people described her, they called her, she was tall, she was well proportioned, which means she was really built, you know. She had blonde hair, you know, she wore it in a model style. But she was also, besides being an astute politician, she was first and foremost a really good educator. She really did advance work in the idea of school consolidation and those things. And she became involved with Marlin's campaign, and as a result, they asked her what she wanted, and she said, I want to be president of Southeastern. And she, in many ways, deserved it. She had been probably the best student that ever went through here in the 20s. And she was currently the superintendent of Carter County Schools at that particular time. And she was an expert in consolidation. And she came through this door, and the school was crumbling physically. The enrollment was down, the attitude was down, it was just in a terrible disarray. And almost instantly, she turned this around. And how she did it was pretty amazing in the story of it. 2 years later, this place has got more enrollment than it's ever had. The campus is beautiful, it's landscaped, the buildings are in great shape. And lo and behold, in the midst of the high point was she entertained Eleanor Roosevelt on campus. The two first ladies, the newspaper said, in the United States. She was here and entertained her. Very shortly after Eleanor Roosevelt left, the headlines read, Zenice fired. Just out of the blue, they fired this woman. The story of what she did to get this school to where it was and the story of why she got fired is really a fascinating one to finish the 30s and begin the 40s. And so if you're here next year and I'm here, I'll tell you a little bit more about her administration, and we'll talk about how and why she got fired. Okay? Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zach Lively. Thank you for letting me visit with you today on this Founders Day. Today, I'd like to speak with you about the rich heritage of my family, which started here at Southeastern Oklahoma State University. As a child growing up across the street from campus, I was able to attend many of the events here, especially the SOSU Savage football games. That instilled in me the blue and gold blood that has flowed throughout a member of my family since 1955, starting with my great-uncle, Dean Worsham. In 1955, we've had approximately 40 members of the Worsham family to either attend or graduate from this great institution. Events such as my mom, Lou Ann Worsham Lively, learning to walk in front of the renowned Vet Village, where my Nana and Papa, Tom and Jackie Worsham, lived, are some of the reasons that make me proud to be part of this heritage. Spanning almost 60 years and involving members from 8 families, I can say without hesitation the roots of Southeastern Oklahoma State University have helped grow an incredible family tree, that being the Worsham family tree. My mom, dad, and sister all either graduated or attended Southeastern, and I can also say that I'm very proud to be part of this Southeastern family. Thank you.
Happy Founders Day. You're supposed to say that back. Happy Founders Day. Excellent. Excellent. My name is Liz McCraw, and I am excited to be here today with my friend Tim Boatman. And we are going to have the opportunity today to share briefly about the history and the impact of the Southeastern Corvettes. I'm a proud Corvette member from 1986 to 1989, and that financed my education at the university.
Again, welcome. My name is Tim Boatman, and I was also a Corvette from 1984 to 1986. And one of the best things that happened is that Liz McCraw was actually my Corvette partner her freshman year, my junior year, and that's how we met and became friends. Oh, jazz hands, sorry. So jazz hands.
The Corvettes, what you probably do not know about the Corvettes, it's one of our longest standing performing groups on our campus. They were actually founded in 1968 under the direction of Dr. Mary Ann Craig. Another fact about the Corvettes is that in 1990, Governor David Walters declared a proclamation that the Corvettes would be the Oklahoma's Singing Goodwill Ambassadors. And what that means is that you perform at every Chamber of Commerce banquet in southeastern Oklahoma, Atoka,
That's right.
Antler. I'm sure that probably President Burge was there, but also that Corvettes have had the opportunity to perform literally all over the world, everywhere from Disney World to Australia to Amsterdam to all over the United States as well. And so Corvettes provided the opportunity truly to be Southeastern's ambassadors and Oklahoma's ambassadors everywhere that they performed.
The Corvettes continue to give opportunities to both music majors and non-music majors, and to continue so they can continue to perform on behalf of the university and promote Southeastern's commitment to the arts and to jazz hands and to sequence. So, other famous Corvettes besides Liz and me include Reba McEntire, State Regent Terry Matlock, Oklahoma Music Educator Association Hall of Famer Wes Singleton, Dr. Aaron Adair, and hundreds of other alumni who hold fond memories of their participation in the event.
Okay. In honor of Founders Day today and our 106th year as an institution, the Corvettes have decided to hold very special auditions here today. And these auditions are for our new faculty and staff guest artist program.
You saw Mary Jo out front, and Will, if you want to go ahead and bring the house lights just up a little bit. We saw Mary Jo out front. She was taking names down, and so what we have done is we have put people's names in a bowl, and who get to come up and audition to be part of the program. So the first name, Susan Dodson.
Woo!
Miss Susan Dodson, give her a hand. Susan, come on up. Susan, good job. Hey, Stacy, you can't leave there. Let's see, next is, Dr. Randy Pruss. Come on up, Randy Pruss. Congratulations. Clifford Cox. Clifford Cox, come on up, Clifford. Woo! Love this one. Dr. Tim Smith. Come on up here, Tim. It's your turn to audition for the Corvettes. A member of the committee, Miss Stacy Hunkapiller. Stacy Hunkapiller, where you at, Stacy? Come on down, Stacy. Oh no, we need a female, don't we? We need a female. Okay, hey, there you go. And last but not least, everybody loves her, Miss Sandy Knowles. Come on up, Sandy. Woo, Sandy.
She's excited about coming here. Thank you so much.
So we'll have the right partners. So we've got Tim and Stacy, Clifford and Susan, Sandy, and Randy. Sandy, Randy. Okay, and Timothy. All right, so you all get to be privy to the really insiders part of the Corvette show choir.
In case you didn't know, Liz was also the choreographer for Corvette. So we're going to keep
So here we go. All right, so we're all ready for this? Now hold on. Okay, so what's going to happen? First of all, we need a big jazz hand. Where do you feel it?
Very good.
We're ready for jazz hands? Okay, now you have to learn to skate. Skate, and skate, skate, and no, and then we need the big ever popular jazz square. Cross over, cross the back, cross to the side, and back. Let's just try that one more time. This way, back, that way, and forward. Got that? Okay, and then because y'all are so impressed,
Glad I have soft
we're gonna do
shoes.
the big turtle.
Stand in.
Stand in.
There you go.
Wait, stop me there.
And then jazz hands, okay?
Jazz hand.
All right, so if everybody's ready for that.
Hey, are y'all ready? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
I think they all made it. Also, just to let you know, these are actual Corvette, show them your vest. These are actual Corvette uniforms throughout, and in case you wanted to know, this is my actual Corvette uniform from 1984.
But if you notice, we had a letter after the same
They're used to zip. They're used to zip.
You'll wear it every Friday.
So on behalf of all Corvettes everywhere, we wish you standing ovations as we move forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Dr. Norris shared a bit of our past with us, and now President Burridge has to follow them. But he will share his thoughts about us creating some more of this Southeastern history. President Burridge, the 20th president of Southeastern Oklahoma State University, officially began his time on campus July 1st, 2014. He earned his Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Oklahoma College of Law. As a product of Antlers Public Schools, he has long been acquainted with our university. Although he is an attorney by profession, the legal field, public service, and higher education have all played important roles in his life. He has many accomplishments and a very impressive career. Those are my words, not his. But I selected one thing to share with you that recently happened, because I think it's really, really important. He was appointed to the Governor's Education Advisory Committee. That means while he is here leading us in making history at Southeastern, he is also a part of making history in the education of Oklahoma's children. Please welcome President Sean Burridge.
Thanks so much, and it's an honor to be here today with you. We started late because of me. I was on the phone to Chancellor Glenn Johnson, who used to be the president here at Southeastern, and I told him about 10 minutes to 3 that I had to come to this, and he didn't care. But he is very important since that's where we get our state appropriation from the state regents. But there's somebody even more important than him here today. And that is, we have a member of the Regional University System of Oklahoma Board of Regents. Regent Connie Riley is here. Regent Riley, you're somewhere out there. She is. Now you ask, how is Regent Riley more important than Chancellor Johnson? The answer is simple. She can fire me. Thank you, Regent Riley. It means a lot to us that you're here today. We also have another special guest. We have London Riley as well. London, lights back up. Hello, London. Our granddaughter. Before we get started, I've been asked to have another single somebody else out. It's a very special day. It's their 50th birthday, and that's for Southeastern staff member Glenda Langham. Glenda, where are you? Happy birthday, Glenda. She's been with the university for 10 years and has been our veteran school certifying official for the last 5 years. Happy 50th birthday. We've talked about the history of Southeastern today, and I will be brief. I do know it's a Friday afternoon. But you know, this university is very, very important to me. I was actually born in Durant in 1968 at the hospital where now you have the intermediate school. I tell my son, you've heard me say this before, that he goes to the 4th grade where I was born. My parents were both students here at Southeastern Oklahoma State University at that time. And one of my very first homes was right behind the administration building where I work and live, in the president's home, and was called Vet Village. I actually lived on campus, I think, for a couple of years during that time where my folks got their degrees and went on from here. My grandmother's a graduate. I think I've got 4 uncles, 4 aunts are graduates. I started counting one night with my mother about Southeastern graduates from both sides of my family. We stopped at 35. As you heard, I grew up in Antlers, Oklahoma, and I spent time on this campus as a teenager. I did actually compete in some of those academic meets you talked about. Don't remember ever placing. But I do remember one day, I was over here from Antlers. I think it was about 1984, and 3 or 4 of my friends were here. It was such a day out of school. We thought we were so smart. And I remember walking in front of Morrison here, and we were cool. And the reason you know I'm cool, because one of my friends had brought a boombox. And we were playing the Michael Jackson Thriller album on a cassette tape as we walked across the campus. That's how cool we were, seriously. And I remember being there, and at that time I had thought about politics, although I'd never run for anything, not even a class office at Antlers. But I always thought to myself, because I'd met Wes Watkins once, that I wanted to maybe someday be a United States congressman. But that day, in front of Morrison, I remember looking around here, knowing my parents had gone here, and this is a true statement. I thought to myself, one day I'm going to be president of Southeastern. So, yes, that's a very cocky thing for a 16-year-old to think, but I did think it. And this place has always had a special place in my heart. So when they chose this president, I was a guy living in Northeast Oklahoma, but my roots have always been here, and I'm now glad to be back here leading this university. It is the greatest job in the state of Oklahoma, and I'm so proud to be here as your president. We do have things going on here at the university. You all have seen, we had our TV commercial that ran in January. We got a lot of positive comments about that. That's thanks in large part to the work of Kyle Stafford, who made me aware that we had an opportunity to be on national TV with that commercial in September. So we went to work immediately on that thing, and we got it on national TV on CBS Sports Network. When we played on September 18th against Henderson State, that was a big night for Southeastern. I'm on the move as far as fundraising. We have a program here called Presidential Partners. That's individuals that give $1,000 or more to the university on an annual basis. Last year there was, I think, 60 presidential partners. The all-time high had been 70, and by my calculations, I think we're about 118 or 119. So we will double the size of that program in my first year as president, and I'm very, very proud of that. People are excited about Southeastern. It's because of you all. This, like 2 weeks ago, we had our annual Gold and Blue Gala where we had raised money for scholarships. We've been raising about $20,000 a year with that event, which is a very successful event. We had that event 2 weeks ago. We believe we will net $54,000 from that event. We've also had some national news. I was featured, actually I was not featured. My dogs were featured in the Chronicle of Higher Education. They did a story about presents and their dogs across the United States, and we were featured in the online edition and the print edition about me and my dogs, Sweet Pea and Daisy, who you all have seen as they get out and about and run away. I appreciate when they get out, you all give me a call. But we were featured in a national publication, which is an exciting time for Southeastern. I think the other presidents were from the University of Miami, Columbia University, and Southeastern. So it's a small thing, but it's big for us, and it puts us on the national map where we belong. Last night we had the first performance of Les Mis was here. Had a representative that was out here visiting the Choctaw Nation for the National Endowment of the Arts, Washington, D.C., Jen Hughes. She was extended an invitation yesterday by Southeastern. She came here, watched the performance. She talked to many of you all on the way out. She was astounded at the quality that she saw here last night of the performance. So it just makes me so proud that, that we are raising the image of the university. Are we doing things differently? No. But it's letting people know our story, making them aware of the excellence right here in Durant, Oklahoma at Southeastern. So I look forward to many, many years ahead. As your president, Dr. Norris, thank you so much. You've given us a teaser. We have to come back next year to learn about Takeoff on Ice and how that went down. I know we'll all be back. We have a great crowd here today. I think it shows the enthusiasm for the university and the support that we have for each other. And I really appreciate the support you've given me in my first 8 months here as president. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us, President Burridge. It's a really great time to be making our own history here at Southeastern. From the beginning, the City of Durant has been an outstanding and very important partner with Southeastern. Today, we are happy to have as our guest Mayor Jerry L. Tomlinson to present a proclamation from the City of Durant. Mayor Tomlinson has served on the Durant City Council since 1998 and is currently in his 7th term as mayor. His public service career includes service on the Durant School Board. He is currently employed as the director of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. Please welcome Mayor Jerry L. Tomlinson.
Thank you, Miss Vicki. Mr. President, Vicki, students, and friends and faculty and everyone that's here. It's an honor for me to be here among all of you, really an honor, and I can't say enough how sincerely I mean that. Some of you may have heard Dr. David Norris or heard it mentioned that at one time he was on the city council and also served as the mayor. Actually, when I came on board, Dr. David was the mayor, and I can tell you that he had not only the same passion and energy that you saw here today, he had the same humor, and I enjoyed that, and I appreciated that. Sometimes things needed a little humor to break the ice. You know, I've been here a couple of times to present a proclamation regarding your Founders Day ceremony and celebration. And every time I learn something new and am more impressed with the history, the heritage, the culture, if you will, of this great university. hearing Zach Lively speak just a minute ago. Zach, you tell your Uncle Don, or you ask him if he remembers the little guy that, while he was going to the university here, he was a short order cook, and I was the dishwasher. Ask him if he remembers that. But what a heritage, what a great family tradition that they are carrying on even today, the Worsham family and those that are involved in that and their family. I heard a couple of things mentioned too. This university has had an impact across the world. You know, a greater impact here in our state, but truly an impact across the world with graduates and the entertainment that we saw earlier. I'm so glad that those folks were chosen and not me. I've got not 2 left feet, but 3. So anyway, that was entertaining. And Mr. President, I'm here to say today that the partnership that this university and our great city enjoys is just as strong today as it was 106 years ago. We are so proud to be a part of that. Also, historically, you know that I like to read my proclamations. And if we have time, Ms. Vicki, I'd like to read this proclamation regarding your Founders Day event. And I think, along with Dr. David's words, you'll find a little history in this proclamation also. So bear with me. Whereas in November of 1907, formed by the combination of Oklahoma Territory and Indian Territory, the state of Oklahoma became the 46th state to enter the Union. Over the course of 1908 and 1909, many prominent Durant citizens and local citizen groups traveled to lobby for passage of the Durant Southeastern State Normal School Bill. Less than 1.5 years after Oklahoma entered statehood, that bill passed, and Durant was designated as the location for a normal school to serve the 12-county region. 20 acres was procured for the building site. The school first opened its doors to students in June of 1909 as Southeastern State Normal School. Its purpose was to train high school graduates to become teachers by establishing teaching standards or norms. Until completion of its proposed new building, temporary facilities were used. And whereas in 1909, the Durant City Council voted to offer 20 years of free equipment, wastewater, and waterworks services for the Southeastern Oklahoma Normal School. The city and its people understood an institution of higher learning would play an important role in the future of Durant and the surrounding region, and we echo that today. Whereas Southeastern Oklahoma Normal School, with its rich Native American influence, is the foundation for secondary education in Southeastern Oklahoma. In 1909, the first summer enrollment brought in over 550 students and became one of the major industries in town. The name of Southeastern Normal School was changed to Southeastern Teachers College in 1920. The name again changed to Southeastern State College in 1939, and then to Southeastern Oklahoma State University in 1974. Its enrollment today is over 4,000 students, representing 31 states and 20 foreign countries. And whereas today we are gathered to reflect and to celebrate the university's rich past and its promising future, to its past, we honor the bold leaders and citizens of our city who dared to dream of Durant becoming the location for a state normal school to serve Southeastern Oklahoma. We honor the school's significant contributions to the region, to the state of Oklahoma, and to our nation. To its future, we celebrate the continued educational opportunities and the development of future generations of citizens who will continue to honor and advance the tradition and shared history of Southeastern and the surrounding communities. Now therefore, I, Jerry L. Tomlinson, Mayor of the City of Durant, do hereby proclaim March 2015 as the official month for celebrating the founding of Southeastern Normal School within the City of Durant. And I call upon all citizens of Durant to join in recognizing our heritage and the people and organizations that preserve our city's past for the enjoyment of residents today and for the future. Let us commemorate the founding of our great university. Thank you. Mr. President, our budget's a little low, that's it. Congratulations. Thank you.
Dr. Hitchcock?
With all the comments today and from different families, I started realizing that a lot of the family members I had in class, or I went to class with, or I've worked with along the way in 41 years in education. My time at Southeastern started in May or August of 1972. I transferred from Murray State to Southeastern to complete a degree in elementary education. Because I started out as a plain baked potato, Wapanucka, Oklahoma, 24 in the graduating class. So it was a major step for me to go to Murray and then on to Southeastern. And unlike President Burridge, it never crossed my mind that I would come back as a faculty member and spend 18 awesome years here. Before the lights were dimmed, I noticed that former students, colleagues, it was just so neat to see you back and to see you here today. And to Sandy that supplied me with orange juice every morning until I realized I was a diabetic. And the orange juice stopped after that. I finished my degree in '74 and stayed around to finish a master's in LD-EMH. And then I rushed to OU to receive a principal's certificate because we didn't offer it at the regional universities. The semester I finished, the next semester they offered it at Southeastern, but God has a plan. The hours counted toward a doctoral program at OU. When I was asked to come back at Southeastern, come to Southeastern as an adjunct professor, and the next year was hired to be a faculty member. Teaching for 10 years, serving as chair for 5, and director of teacher ed for 3, before I said at the age of 50 that I was going to retire. And I have 2 guests here with me today because they're 2 great nephews that I hope will be future students at Southeastern, because our niece and the spouse and 2 nephews and their spouses all have degrees from Southeastern. And so we're hoping to carry on that fine tradition. And now I ventured out a little bit along the way. And for you that know me, I have several other jobs now. Retirement was really meant that I was retarded. And if you'll notice, I have my notes on the back of a sales slip from Marie's. Now, you that know about Marie's downtown know that I spend a lot of time used to there, not quite so much anymore, so it's only appropriate. And I'm also out in the field teaching with another university just on a very adjunct basis twice a year, teaching on a master's program. And the most exciting part, I'm the 3rd of 10 professors, the 3rd class, and I'm the only one that ever asked for a class profile, because I want to know how many Southeastern graduates are going to be in my class from another university.
And of course, they're the best students I have, and the ones that I have the strongest relationship with. So thank you for allowing me to spend 43 years at a campus that has been so good to me. And I asked God to see me through some health situations along the way, and I told him I'd give back. So if you ever want to play golf, you'll probably see me at the registration table with Miss Hudson, my sidekick. I'm the sidekick doing the dirty work because she's the best organizer in the whole wide world. And I've also had an opportunity to work many years with President Burridge's mother in the field of elementary education, and to have taught with Dr. Norris, and always a nice history lesson for me. So thank you for allowing Southeastern to be a part of my life, and I just hope that my time here, that I touch someone's life that will lead them to be a better teacher than I happen to be, and to enjoy life just half as much as I have, and to be oh so rewarded to bleed the blue and gold, and to come back to my alma mater as well. Thank you.
I don't know if you were in attendance either of the last 2 years where we've celebrated Founders Day, but when Dr. Norris told us about the selection of the location for the building of our school, you may have missed that, and so I get to review it. This is my favorite story of Southeastern. On May the 10th, 1909, a committee made up of state officials and representatives from the Normal School Board of Regents, I said that wrong, from the Normal School Board of Regents, came to town to check out the 5 pieces of property that were available. They were going to give, 5 different people were offering land for us to build Southeastern on. After visiting each site and entering into a great deal of heated discussion, and you have to read Dr. Norris's book to hear how heated it was, the final decision was announced. Southeastern State Normal School would be built on the 20-acre Schuler Peach Orchard. Now, I'm telling you this for a reason. What we did this afternoon before the 3 o'clock session ties directly to that story. Our committee decided that we needed to emphasize that little piece of our history because it's fun and it's also interesting. We decided that we should have a cooking contest with peaches as the main ingredient, so we decided go for it. The contest this time, with 22 entries, was held a bit earlier, as I said, in the student union. I want to introduce to you the people who had the tasty task of determining the winners. So I don't know if any of the judges are here or not. If they are, I'd like for them to stand. And Will, if we could have a few house lights, please. The First Lady of Southeastern, Mrs. Carol Burridge, was one of our judges. A senior from Austin, Texas, representing the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, Mr. Jacoby Sanders, was here as a judge. And Mr. Cody Spoon, Executive Chef for Sodexo Campus Services, was our other judge. The winners have already been selected, and at this time we want to recognize them. So I have the award winners. If you're here, if you would come to the front, Stephanie Makey will be in charge of presenting our awards. We have a nice engraved cake serving set that goes to each of the 3 winners in our categories, and then the other folks will receive certificates. So we will start with pies and cobblers. 3rd place with a blue and gold peach pie. That sounds interesting. Christy Luke, 3rd place. You gotta love this name, Aunt Bee's Peach Pie, Brooke Glory. Congratulations, Christy. And 1st place, winner of the serving set, Darla Ellett, with her Sedler Peach Pie. Moving to jams and jellies while Darla's making her way forward. Second place with Mimi's Peach Butter, Darla Ellett. And first place, Dorothy Owens with Summer in a Jar Peach Butter. Our Cook's Choice, third place with Perfectly Peachy Coffee Cake, Brooke Glory. Second place with Peach Upside Down Cake, Anita Arrington. And first place in our Cook's Choice with Peach Salsa, Diane Dean. Thank you to each of the individuals who entered our contest this year. And again, thank you to Diana, Stephanie, Zach, Tim, Liz, and Mary for sharing your memories of Southeastern. At the end of today's program, everyone is invited to the loft of the Glenn D. Johnson Student Union to sample these tasty entries that you've been hearing about. At that time, Dr. Tristan Egner and the jazz band will be entertaining with songs from the 1930s. We appreciate your attendance today and thank you for coming. If you will please stand as our choir leads us in the singing of our alma mater, and at the conclusion, we are all dismissed. Thank you again for coming.